All right, cool. Okay. Hey, Harry, are you here? Yes. You're here. All right. Okay. All right. I guess I'm gonna get started. So yeah. Okay. So I think I'm gonna get started on some basics of TypeScript I have here. So like, how does everybody feel about TypeScript right now? Are you feeling okay? Yeah. Cool. So what I'm saying is just like very similar to JavaScript, right? But it just has like types associated with it. That's it. So like I said here, if I'm just looking at one of my TypeScript files here, so like I said, so this is one of my classes. So it's just like we have a variable, and then it's followed by a colon, and then we have the type of the class, of the type of this variable in general, So that's pretty much it, So there's nothing else on compared to JavaScript, this is like one of the few features that TypeScript added. That'll be it, So I figured I'm just gonna look at some of the types we have in TypeScript, just so you know it, So can everybody see it? Yeah. Yeah. So just like like I said before, so we have this variable followed by colon, then a type. That'll be it. So like we have this Boolean types. So also interesting is, so in like TypeScript, like all the numbers are just of this number type. So we can you can set it to a like integer decimal number. We can set it to a hexadecimal as well. But like everything, like whatever number it is, it's just a number. Like we don't have like any distinctions between like just numbers and hexadecimals in terms of types. Like everything just a number. Okay. Yeah. And this is how you set a string. I'm sorry. So it's just like just remember this is now capital. So I always make this mistake myself. So okay. And this is how you set array. So you just put so if you want to set an array of numbers, for example, you just say numbered and then followed by a open and close square bracket. That'll be it. Right. And you can also set them to tuples, like this one. So if you can have like a tuple type that can only have a string and a number to it, yeah, this is how you do it pretty much. Okay. Yeah. So okay. So another thing is in TypeScript that I think you should know is like if you have a class, then like before the constructor, you should always declare the properties on the top like this, but like this is not a requirement in JavaScript. You don't need to do it, right? Okay. Yeah, so I think this is like all I think you should know. Like everything else is the same as JavaScript though. It's like very simple, Okay, so I think now I'm gonna go to Angular, So it's like the first time you have an Angular project, you actually see something like this, So I'm just gonna talk about like the kind of files we have and like what are important, what are not important, and yeah, stuff like that, So like everything else here is just kind of like unimportant. Of course, like you can always look at the package.json to see like any like node modules you have installed here, right? All right. So and like all the important stuff is here in the apps folder, so here's where like most of our code lives, and in the assets folder you can like add like images, fonts, and also in this case I just have 2 fonts added and a style sheet here, that's all. And you don't have to care about this environments folder, but you don't. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm gonna talk about some of the important files we need. So I think the only thing that's outside of this app folder here, and that's important, it's a styles file, So as you can see, so it's just where you can declare some global styles. Like I said, so it's like it's a style you can use everywhere, anywhere in the app you can use it. So I think it's very useful, so in this case I just added some like fonts I can use, like the Mojave fonts, which is like give me a second. All right, so you see, you can also see I added some like CSS styles, like underline styles. You can like add underline to anything you want, and some button styles, stuff like that. You can also import like style sheets from other places. Like I imported the style sheet from Bootstrap here, so like you can use Bootstrap anywhere in the app. Okay. Yeah. All right, so since we're here, I just want to show you guys something. So this is the app. Can everybody see it? Okay, so number one thing is I finally figured out like why the background of the pop-up is black, so but I managed to fix it. Now it's white. No, yeah. Oh, it's because it's using like one of its like predefined themes. So what I'm saying right now, if I go here, it's like yeah, I think they originally using this pink, blue, gray style sheet, and I think by default it just sets everything to dark theme. So it's like I kind of like overridden the entire theme with this. So this is pretty much it, Yeah, so I just this is the one I wrote, so yeah, so don't worry about this. So this is actually SAS, you guys have heard of that, right? SAS, SAS, yeah, I think so. Like the professor kind of talked about this in class a few times, right? Yeah, but you don't have to worry about that here. You can just treat it as like a typical CSS file. You can't so like for SAS files, you can just use it as a typical CSS, so you don't need to worry about anything. Okay. All right, so I think that's what I have. So I think now I'm going to go to this thing actually. So okay, so I kind of have so like before our presentation, so Alex actually so we actually had a pull request from Alex, right? So so I mentioned how you could like actually install like hard coding everything here, right? Like just adding everything one by line. You can so I said you can make an array, and you can call it departments, and instead of just hard coding like all departments in the HTML, you can actually put it inside a TypeScript file. So and we didn't have time to get to this PR because like so yeah, so I think I'm gonna do it now. So because at the same time I can also showcase some of the features Angular have here, right? So okay, so all right, so the first thing I'm gonna talk about is a service. So so before I get to that though, so it's like so for the main part of the app, we usually have like components. Usually it's like we have, so like as you can see, we have like 6 components here, and each component is a UI element, right? Usually, yeah. And we can also have services. Like services just represents like for example, like can make an API call for us, but it's not a UI element, just like a piece of software code that just does something for us, So yeah, So originally, so like already like we have this API service that the only thing it does is just to make requests to our server, right? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to add another service. So since it's like so we have this bunch of departments. I want to put this thing as service. So it's like, because if you use a service, you can share it between like all the components of your app. So it's like at least for our app here. So like at least we can use it here, here, and also here, right? Like we all have a department, so we can share that department property across all three components, right? So the idea is that I'm just going to make a service so I can like all three components can use that department's property, right? That's what I'm gonna do. So okay. So in order to do that, you can just say like ng so if you say services, that just means the services folder. So I'm going to put everything in here. Okay, in the services folder actually. No, so I'm going to say services shared. So it's like, so we create a shared service. Okay. So now if you go back, you can see we have like 2 more files being added to us here. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do here is so I've written this already. So but I'm just going to copy this over. So okay. So that should be it. So we have this service array that just have like pretty much all the strings we have, like all the departments. So in order to use it, so like I can say I can just go to the sections component. In order to use it, I have to inject it. So this is like a form of like dependency injection. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. You know, have you heard of this before? Yes or no? Okay. So it's like so if I want to inject this, so I can just say so I can say private okay. All right. So so that's about it. So in case you're wondering like where is this constructor being called, so the thing is that you don't call it by yourself. So Angular actually calls it for you automatically, so you don't need to worry about that kind of thing. So okay. All right. So I think if I go back here, we can also see some. I also see some so I can use this ng4 properties. I mean, this is like an Angular directive. It's kind of like AngularJS's equivalent. I mean, Angular's equivalent of like AngularJS's what's that? Ng repeat. You know, you guys remember that? Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to go to the HTML folder. So I think the kind of interesting thing is here. So I can just say, I want to say star ng4 equals to let department of departments, right? Oh, okay. Yeah. That should be how it works. So it's like so it's ng4 is like a for loop. So it's like we're looping through our shared service. So we're looping through kind of our shared service, and the shared service has like the departments. So we're just getting into the shared service departments, and we're looping through all the departments in there, right? So in order to use it, so this is the same as Angular as well. So you just need to use double braces and say, and okay. Yeah, and if I go back here, so refresh, and so now you go back here, you should be able to see all the departments, right? Does it make sense to you? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I'm also going to do this for the other components we have. So okay, so I guess I'm just going to copy this line, so okay. 1 second though. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah. Okay, we kind of have some Alright, so I think I'm gonna have to do this later because I don't have time to fix bugs here. So pretty much, so alright, okay. I have to do this later. Okay. Yeah, so it's like so does everyone feel confident that they can use this ng4 in the future? Kind of. All right. Okay. All right, and I think the next thing I'm going to do is, remember, so if I go to this our UI here, so I want to be able to generate some reports. So it's like I'm going to make like a UI component so that we can generate the reports. So with the mock data we have from Sam's API, right? So right now, if I so this is the API call. So if I just say I want to do it, I should be able to see this. Right? And also like this is like the formatted version of that JSON. So it's pretty much what we're going to do is we're going to make like a pop-up again, right? So we're going to make a pop-up, and then we're going to fetch the JSON, and once we have the JSON, we use that to load up a schedule UI. Well, would that be okay? Okay. All right. So okay. So to do that, so I guess I'm going to have to make another component again. So so the command to do that, it's like ng generate, or you can by short you can just say ng-gc, that means ng generate component. So component slash I'm just gonna call it schedule pop-up, Yeah, whatever. Cool. Let's see. All right. Okay, so as you can see, the generator actually made four files for us. So you don't need to worry about the specs.ts because this is for unit testing and we're not concerned about that. Okay, so we only need 3 of these. These 3 files, they are the most important to us. So we have the HTML. We have the HTML file, and this just so this is just the HTML for that component only, and so is the case for CSS. So the CSS file is only for this component. Also the TypeScript file. So the TS file is actually in place of the JavaScript file. Here's like where you put out your coding. Yeah. Okay. For the component. So okay. So in order to do this though, I'm going to talk about a few things. So so if I look at the TypeScript file, you see we can have this like component declaration on the top. So I'm going to talk about the selectors loss, but for the style URLs, you can see it's using this schedule-papa.com now component.css, which is this, and if you want to make like another CSS file, you can also add it here, just like append it to the array. That'll be it. And also the template URL is just how the front end is going to look. This is just a link to the HTML, like I said before, and yeah. And what's interesting is the selector. The selector is like a HTML tag. So if I go to my navbar component here, so this is pretty much the navbar. You can see its selector is called app-navbar. So if I go to my main front end, you can just go to HTML. You can just see I'm using the app navbar here. So so in this case, in the HTML, like in addition to the to 3 columns of stuff we have, we also have the navbar, and the navbar is handled by another component, which is just yeah. So navbar is just pretty much this thing on the top here, right? Yeah, so do you guys get how that works? Yeah? Yes or no? Cool. Okay, so... Okay. So in order to make the schedule, I think I'm going to use one of the third-party libraries I found the other day. It's called Full Calendar. It's a very cool npm library we can use, so you can generate like UI look like this, right? So we don't have to code them from scratch, That's the idea. Okay. Okay. Thank you. So this is actually the monthly schedule. So actually we're interested in this type of look, yeah, which looks pretty great in my opinion. Yeah. Yeah, because our schedule is just like we're not concerned about months, so it's just a week. Usually a weekly schedule will be okay. Yeah, so I have followed all the setups here. So I installed like all the npm libraries here, like you can see. These are everything that's related to the full calendar. Yes. Okay. So in order to use a component, you have to make sure you import the component. So I'm importing this component from here. From like this is just from the npm library, right? And you have to declare it here. Just remember you have to do this, otherwise the app is not going to work. Okay. And also, anytime you make component, like if you are going to do this manually, if you manually make a component or service, so you're gonna have to put them in the declarations array, I think, So it's like you see we have our components here, and if you use the command we have, I mean the nggc, this one will do this automatically for you. So usually you don't have to worry about here. Okay. Okay. So I think the idea is that we're going to 1 second. So I'm going to manage to reuse this open modal function, just so we can use it to open the open the schedule UI, as a modal pop-up, So So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make a actually a enum just okay, so it's like open. So for the open model function we have right now, so right now we have a fixed size and width, and as you can see, it's like 350 pixels by 600 pixels, right? And it's kind of small for the schedule, is it? Right. So it's kind of small for the schedule UI, so I want to make this bigger, but I don't want to make like, let's say, for example, just copy and paste this method and change the height and width. And that seems like you just have so much like repetitions in the code, and you should be avoiding this. So I think I'm going to use enum for this. So one second though. If I go back here and if you so these are the types page for TypeScript. So I'm going to use the enum. So right, have you guys heard of the term like enums or enumerations? Yeah. Yeah, enum is just a short for enumerations. Yeah, that's it. So we have a color. It can have like three cases, like red and green and blue. So in this case, I'm just going to make a dialog size enum. So we can have like two cases, like one is medium, one is large, and the medium size is this, and the large size is this, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the main front end again. I'm going to add a argument. So it's like so the size is going to be it's a pop what's that, dialog size, right? So we're just adding an argument to this, and we can say since so the dialog size is an enum, and we have a string, just like the first one is the height, the second one is the width. So I'm just going to say size. So if you just refer to this, it will actually give us this value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this into an array, so it's like, right, and I'm going to grab the first element here. So right, so this will like split this into like two array of two elements, like 350 and 660, and just grab the 350, right? Something like this. Yeah. And this will be the second element for sure, so like this. In order to get this to work, so as you can see, this is giving us some warnings. It's saying that we wanted two arguments, but you only get one. So I'm gonna say dialog size medium, right? Okay, so let's just try this just to make sure it works. Dang it. All right, we have a bug here. 1 second. All right, since I'll have to fix this then. 1 second, so all right, sorry about this though. I'm gonna have to undo this change here. Okay. All right, that'll be good. Cool. All right, so now if I refresh this again, everything still works as before. Like, how about if I try the large size instead? So if we open schedule, the add section one, so we can say large. I don't know. So now we should see a larger screen, so quite a lot larger. All right. Yeah, I'm going to go back to medium. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Now I should be able to work on the I don't know, one more thing actually. So can anybody hear Harry here? Yeah. This is, yeah. I can hear you. Yeah. It's kind of a weird recursion effect here. I'm just saying, you know. Yeah, like just wait for a few seconds here. Percentage base. Actually, what do you guys think about this, though? You know, like, actually, what do you mean here, though? It's like where do you want to use the percentage? Definitely, you can do it. You know, I think so. You know, yeah, but I think that would be a topic for another time, though. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna move this out of the screen here. Okay. All right. So I'm going to make a change in the component.html here, since like so I mean, for the navbar, so we're interested in like what's gonna happen if we click on this button. But right now, it's like in this HTML, we don't have access to that button. You know, we only have access to this component. So I'm going to do something else. So I'll probably figure this out later. But so I'm just going to copy the HTML for this and just paste it here for now, so we can have access to this button here. Okay, so all right, everything should still work as expected as before, although, well, the button's gone and, oh wow, that's weird. Oh my gosh, that's weird. Hops and missing some styles. Yeah, of course. No, 1 second. So I'm going to add something here, and hopefully this will fix it. I think so. Yeah. Yes, it did. No. Okay. All right. Cool. No. Okay. So now in the main frontend, we actually have access to this now. We actually have access to the button right here. So generate reports, and this is the button. So here we can actually make like an unclick listener, so we can actually see the button click. Right, 1 second. So there are a couple ways to do this. So number one thing you can say, you can add this click attribute, and you can say, so I'm just going to see, let's say, I can add a method here saying like generate report, for example, like that, and going back here, I can just say generate report, yeah, and this should take us here. And so I'm just going to say console.log, yeah. Okay, so this is one way to do it. If I go back here and I open the inspector, if I see, so as you can see, this is being printed out, yeah, like before. Yeah, so this is one way to do it, but I would like us to use the idea of using like observables, so which is RxJS, so it's very interesting. As you can see, we have a bunch of observables here. Like these are the second way to do it. You can observe the calls of the button, and you can just observe on the button and observe the event, the click event, and you should be able to achieve the same thing. But before I get to this though, I want to go through like a presentation on RxJS, so okay, 1 second. Okay. So it's sorry. So it seems like I have to make you go through like an 18-slide presentation, but I think this is very, very useful. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to get started. So so it's like if we're talking about RxJS, it's just a library made for React programming in general. So it's like and like a React programming is a way you can compose like the asynchronous events and all. So yeah, pretty much. So it's like as I said before, like in our presentations. So if you don't use RxJS, if you make a lot of like asynchronous calls, you're gonna get like a pyramid of doom. Do you guys know what I mean? Yeah. It's just I'm just going to go back to the presentation we had. Yes. So this is kind of the pyramid of doom. So we only made like two asynchronous calls, and you can see the level here just getting like kind of ridiculous, what I'm saying. So imagine if you have to make 2 more asynchronous calls, it's going to be very weird, Do you guys get it? Yeah. It's like it's going to make the code look very ugly, that's in general, but yeah, that's all, But so in RxJS we can, there's some very nice ways to avoid that kind of thing, and it also is very powerful. And before that though, so it's like, do you guys understand what like asynchronous mean? What does it mean? Can you guys just talk to me about it? It's like, what do you think it means? Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good way to put it. So like I said before, it's like if anything's async, it requires like a response from something else. So it's like until other entities like another server, another computer, or another piece of hardware, it's like, yeah, right. If you make a call to a web server, so that thing requires like a server to respond to it, so that would be one case. And also if you have your phone connect to a Bluetooth device, that requires like the communication between your phone and the Bluetooth device. So in this case, that request is also asynchronous. But the main takeaway is that, so it's like you don't know when the request is going to complete, right? So it's like it might take like anywhere between like a few milliseconds, or can also take hours, so right. So by default, like in JavaScript, you can just use the callbacks to do it. But if you have too many callbacks, like I said, you get like a pyramid of doom. So the idea is we can use like RxJS to solve this problem. Okay, so it's like so next I'm going to get to observables. So the observables is like the backbone of like RxJS in general. So it's like, just imagine you have a timeline here. So if we have like observable of numbers, that observable can keep producing events. So you can like as time goes on from like 1 second to 25 seconds, you can see you can produce like a number 4, number 8, number 15, number 16, or something like that, right? And each time when you produce the event, it's called emitting. It's called or emission. So this is like this is just like some terminology here, right? So the observables can emit like 3 types of events. So usually the first the one you're going to use the most is next. Also next one's completed, and also error. So 3 different type of events. And so like I said, in 90% of the cases, you're going to be using a next event. Yeah, so it's like so since we have observables, we have when that event has been emitted, so it's like we're gonna have a bunch of observables that listen to that event, and the keyword we used here is called subscribe, right? So in this case, we can have like a FromEvent call, and this will listen on the button click. Like I said, the button click is also asynchronous because it requires the user to click it. It might take the user like 1 second to click it, or an hour to click it. I don't know. You don't know how long that's gonna take, right? So once that event happens, you can subscribe to the event, and let's say once that event happens, we're going to log this event. Yeah. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. Okay. Another thing is, it's like an observable, you can have like many subscribers. Subscribers, or in this case, we can also call the subscriber an observer. That's the idea. It's another word for it, so we can have 3 observers listen on the same observable. Like if I can take this, and like I said, I can like I'm sorry for this. So like I can copy and paste this event, and I can do something else, So in this case, you have 2 subscribers. You can do 2 different things here, or here. That's the idea. Okay. Another important thing is, it's like the observables will only start to like emit events. We'll not start to emit events until there's a subscriber. This is very important. So it's like, if you have debug statements anywhere and you see it's not printing, if it's in an observable, that probably means that you are not subscribing to it. Just remember that. I make this mistake all the time myself. Okay. So you must subscribe to it, so. Okay. Okay, so I guess I'm going, like, am I going too fast or too slow? Do you feel it's okay? Yeah. Hello? Alright, that's cool, Alright, so. Okay, I guess there's nothing else to do here. So, alright, so the next thing we have to think about is operators. So it's like a very nice feature of unlike RxJS is you can have like operators, to manipulate the data emitted by observables, right? So like I said, these we have methods for, and these methods called like operators. So this is just an example of operators. So I'm going to get this. So let me go back here. So so this pretty much just describes like what happens if you go here, and if you what's gonna happen if you click this button, right? So I'm going to use the HTTP client. I'm going to get call a GET request on this. So as you can see, this returns the observable, which is as an observable, and then I can do something else with it. In this case, we're using the map operator, which just transforms the link we got, which is a variable of this type, and we can just get its URL instead of the entire class. That's the idea. Okay. Okay, so I have composed a list of like 10 operators you should know. I think these are very, 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 very useful operators. So our first one is called from. So it's like if you have static values like just an array of numbers, you can convert them to observables. Right? And there are two ways to do it. It's like the first one is called the I'm sorry, this is actually not an operator. So okay, so this is just like rather it's just an RxJS method. That's the way to put it. So, but anyways, so if you can take a value of 3, this array here, and you subscribe to it, it's going to like print out 3 times. It's going to like go through each element and print. I mean, it's going to the observable is going to go through like each element of this array and emit each of these elements, like 1 or 2 or 3. Like it does it 3 times. But if you use the off operator, it just prints everything at once. So right, see the difference between the two? Like one iterate through the array, one just prints everything at once. Yeah. Okay. Do you guys get this though? Kind of. Yeah. Just I don't see myself using this operator that often, but it's nice to know it's there. I mean, if you can use, I mean, if you have a question about like RxJS, you want to prove a concept, you can always use this. Right. And the next one is like FromEvent. Like all of you have seen this before. Yeah. Like we can observe on some kind of events going on here. So in this case, we can observe a button click event. Right. We have 3 of them here. Like the first one is going to observe a button click, so this is just a way to do it. And the second one is like you can observe a change on input, yeah, so it's like this is going to be useful. I mean, if you have an input and you want to be notified like every time the value of the input changes, like anytime the user types in a new character or deletes a character, that's the way to do it, Alright, so if you just do this, it's going to oh, we don't actually have a text field to text this though, so to test this though, so I'm going to do this later. This is now this is the operator. I think it's very useful. It's called map. So it's just like, have you guys heard of the map function we can use on the JavaScript arrays? Have you guys heard of that? Yeah. Oh, okay. So it's like so with the map function, I mean, just say like this is like a functional programming concept, but it's like we don't have the diagram for it, I was hoping to get yeah, this is all right, seems like I don't have like a good picture for it, but the idea is like it's just similar to the map. So a typical like JavaScript like map function on the array just like transforms like each element of that array to something else, right? Yeah. So in this case, we can also transform like a stream of observables here. So it's like 1, 2, 3, and you can transform it. So each case, in this case, I'm going to transform each element of this observable, like by multiplying the observable. I mean each value by 2. So that's what it is. So if I take 1, 2, 3, and it's going to multiply each of these elements by 2, and you're going to get like 2, 4, and 6. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, and also remember the pipe function. If you use the pipe, that means you can use them to chain operators together. Like I said here, if I go to my sum up components here, 1 second. Yeah, so I have 3 pipes, so I'm chaining this method 3 times. I'm just like, or in other words, I'm transforming this observable 3 times. Which is very, very cool. I think. Yeah, so this is useful. So the idea is, like I said before, in our API, which is right here, and so I'm using Angular's HTTP client, and I'm getting it. I'm using a GET request on this. So if you're wondering like what this square brackets is, so it's like if you call a GET request, there's going to be a response, and the Google Auth link is just like the model class of that response. That's what it is. So if I make a request here, so it's like if I make a call here, so you can see the interior model is just a URL, then followed by a link, right? What I can do here is just like a class with just a URL property that just maps to it, right? That'll be it. Yeah, this .http.get. So this returns the observable, but the type of this return is just, so the type is this, but what I want is, so I actually want a string instead of that class. So instead I can just map the variable, from the class itself to its URL, right? Does that make sense? So which is a string, Does that make sense to us? Yeah, kind of. Yeah. All right, that's cool. So that's one way you can use map. And the next one is and the next one I can talk about is filter. So also it's just like if statements in RxJS. So it's like another way to write if. It's very cool. So it's like it takes in like a function here, and it just like so it's just it's only allowing each one of these observables, allowing each one of these values to pass through if it's satisfy this requirement here, right? So it's only allowing these values to pass through if it's less than 3. So as you can see, the 3 gets filtered out. All right. So if you have take 1, 2, 3, and you call this function on this, it's only going to print out 1 and 2. That makes sense to you guys? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I think one of the examples I have here is if I go to sign up again. So I'm using a filter here. So it's like once I click on the button, to sign in, and I'm going to check like, do we have auth token here, right? So in this case, it checks like if in the event that we don't have a auth token, right? If we don't have an auth token, then we direct user to the sign-in URL, right? Then we direct the user to the Google login URL. But if we do have the token instead, so this is another idea is like each observable can have like multiple subscribers. In this case, this observable has like 2 subscribers, like this one and also this one, right? So, but in the second filter statements, I'm just checking like, do we have in the case that if we do have the cookie, and if we have the cookie here, we're just going to like navigate to the main section, which is the main front end. That makes sense to you guys. So this is kind of looks like an if-else statement here, but this is just the way doing Rx, which is very interesting. Okay. The next one is Throttle. This is a very, very famous operator. I use this all the time by myself. So it's like So the scenario we have is that like if the users like just clicking this button like crazy, like you're clicking the button like 10 times in a second, you know. Like if you don't do anything about it, it's going to make 10 requests to the server, and imagine that happens 100 times a second, it's going to crash your server. It's what, right? I mean, if it makes like 100 requests a second to the server, you know, it's going to crash it most likely, you know. So the way you can prevent this is it's like you can use if you don't want to send 10 requests every second, but you only want to send 1 request per second, right? Does that make sense? So it's like so it's going to take so the way the throttle function works is just it takes in an interval here, which is in this case is 1 second, you know. So this makes sure that, you know, like only one observable can be emitted like in 1 second. Does that make sense? You know, so it's like if we have like 10 requests, you know, if we have 10 taps on the button, and if imagine this is the time window between here and here is 1 second, it's like all of them is going to be reduced into just 1 click, you know, 1 tap. You know, does that make sense to you? Does it sound useful to you? You know. Yeah, so this is what the throttle function does, you know. So it's like this makes sure that we only send like 1 request to the server every 500 seconds. Every 500 milliseconds. Yeah. Does that make sense? Which is very useful. As you can see, this is just the way we're changing the operators from event to filter to throttle. You know. You guys, just like hopefully you are starting to. I don't know. It's just like this is just the way you've. Just it's a gut feeling, I would say, because like if you just click this button, it's most likely going to be navigate to another page, and you're not going to have another chance to click it, right? You know. So that's why I think 500 milliseconds is enough, you know. But it really just depends, though. You can use whatever time that makes sense to you, I think, you know, right? Yeah. Okay. So that's how throttle works, which is and then okay. So the next operator we have is like flat map, you know. Merge map. I'm sorry, it's called merge map, you know. So it's equivalent to promise.then, you know. Has anybody here used promises before? But I'm pretty sure you have heard of it, right? Yeah. Alright, so I guess that doesn't matter anyway. So it's like it just allows you to chain async operations, you know. So it's like so what this does is it allows you to chain async operations. It's like imagine if you do one asynchronous request, and when that is done, you want to do another asynchronous request, you know. So this is the method you're gonna use, right? So in this case, I'm going back to my event, going back to my slides here. So it's like, so this is from the part where we open the rooms component. Yeah, so it's like, so FromEvent is an asynchronous operation. Like once we click on the button, and then we want to open the model. So we use the merge map operator, which just allows us to open that component, you know. So once the click happens, then immediately, like right after that, we open the room component, you know, right? Yeah, and this is going to return a room object, you know, which you can access here. You know, you can just say subscribe, and the operator, the argument passing is here. Let's you have the room, you know. So, but imagine if you have like if this also returns something, right? Like I say, if you make an API call to the server, it's going to give you a URL, and you want to use that URL in here, and then you can just like save. You can just add a URL here, and you should have access to it. You know, yeah, right. So do you get this though? You know, kind of. Okay. And another thing I guess I have to say is like this has to return a observable inside, you know. So so this is a callback that's being taken from the being taken in from the merge map operator, but this is supposed to return an observable. This is required, I think, you know, because your idea is you want to chain observables, you know, right? And the difference between merge map and map is like with map you are now required to like return observables, but you're just manipulating this value here, you know. So do you guys get the difference between the two, you know? So it's like, yeah, you just take this value and multiplies it by 2, but it's like it's not chaining an operation. So that's the thing, you know. All right, so I think it's maybe useful to look at the the official definitions of this, you know. So let me see. So the official definition is like you want to map each value to an observables and flatten all these inner observables using merge all, you know. You're probably not gonna understand this, right? Do you? All right. So the idea is that the word they use is flatten. So the flatten means that that the observable has emitted. So in this case, you know, so it's going to so in this case, the merge map is going to flatten the previous observable. So it's like that means when this event has happened, you know, when this event has emitted a value. That's what that means. So. And it's going to map that value into another observable, which is the open model function, and yeah. And once you do that, it's gonna start another asynchronous operation, and you can just like subscribe to it, and once the event comes back, yeah. Okay. And the next one I want to talk about is switch map. You know, this is also known as like flat map lattice, which is like in some other like Rx languages. So it's like, so it's almost the same as the merge map. So it's except that if there's like a new observables being emitted while the previous one is still ongoing, so the previous one will be cancelled in favor of completing the new observable. Do you kind of get what I'm saying though? So it's like this graph I kind of explains it nicely. So it's like so if you have this observable here, we switch map it, you know. So this happens as expected, but for this one though, it's very interesting. So it's like this green observable happens, like it emits an event, it gets to here, but before this green one can finish, right, and the blue one comes in. So what this means that this part is going to be cancelled, you know. Do you guys understand this though? Huh. Yeah, so this is extremely useful. So this is very interesting. If you just have like a search bar here, it's like if we have the search bar here, it's like I'm pretty sure they are using some kind of switch map here, because you do like as soon as the user types in another like character, you want to cancel the previous one. You want to cancel the previous request to fill in the Google suggestions, right? Because you are only interested in the latest one. So that's an application of how it's going to be used, you know, especially like in auto-completion fields, you know. Cool, you know. And the next one is zip, you know, so which is very, very useful as well. So like you want to wait and like you say you want to make calls to 2 different observables, right? You want to make a calls to two different like endpoints in order to load up your web page, you know, and you want to wait until like you get responses from both, and then you can load up requests, you know. So zip allows you to do it. So it's gonna wait until like both observables emit. Then once all that happens, the zip is going to emit its own event. So it's like we have the left and right in this graph here. So we have the left and right observable. You know, so if the left one emits sunny, so it doesn't do anything in the zip. But if then the right one emits Lisbon, so if both of these happens, the zip is going to emit the both events. Does that make kind of make sense to you? So it's like, so in our example here, so we have like observable of strings, so into this, and if you zip these two together, so it's like, as you can see, for zip you just pass in two observables, and the result you get in a subscribe is going to be an array. It's going to be an array. So I'm just going to say, so if you call this, so it's just going to return like when both of these emit, when Sunny and Lisbon both emit, the combined result is going to be like Lisbon is sunny, and then so it's the case for London is cloudy and Vienna is cloudy, right? Does that make sense? Yeah, kind of. All right, I guess I'm gonna kind of give you an example in like in the RCOS project I worked on. So this is automatic door control. I don't know. So our project kind of like has a lot of async operations going on. So I'm going to give you an example here. So this is in Rx Swift, but it's like a little different, but almost the same though. So all right, so we have the Rx event here. So I'm using a zip operator here as well. So right. So the idea is that I want to connect to our Bluetooth hardware, connect to a Bluetooth hardware, and also I want to make a request to an endpoint. I want to wait until both of these have completed. Right? Does that make sense? Yeah. So when that happens, I can do. I can keep doing my thing. So this is the idea. Okay. All right. So the next one is fork join, which is also so if you have like a array of observables and you want to wait until both of them finishes, I mean, you have an array of observables and you want to wait until like all of them have completed or emitted something, and this is the operator to do, and to use. So it's like it uses some like array of observables as input, then emit once like all observables have emitted, so this is equivalent to promised all, and so in this case we have like 3 observables. I want to wait until like both like all of these have emitted, and then we're going to print the entire thing. So as you can see, it takes in these 3 observables, like wait until all of them emits, and then combines them into an array. So as a result, this is what you get. So it's an array of sunny, cloudy, and cloudy. Yeah. Okay. All right. So okay. And the next one is merge. So very interesting. So so kind of idea is that we have like a left observables, and it emits on a timeline like this, and the right observable emits on a like different timeline. So but if we merge both of them, it's going to combine the emissions here like according to its time, So it's like it subscribes to each of the sequences it receives and emits the elements as soon as they arrive, and there's no predefined order, right? So do you guys kind of see what's going on? 1 maps to 1, 4 maps to 4, 5 to maps to 5, 2 maps to 2, yeah, something like that, Does that kind of make sense to you? Cool. And the thing, okay, so the idea is that it's like so all the observables, like they pass into the merge must have the same type, so both left and right have to be like observable of numbers in order for this to work out. Otherwise the code is not going to compile. Okay, just remember. And for the last one we have is combine latest, so this is also very useful. So it's like very self-explanatory in this case, so it's like we take in the left and right observables, like the first emission happens when both of them has emitted, it's 1 and 4 has emitted, but in this case if 5 emitted, but I mean if the right observable emits 5 and the left one didn't do anything, it's gonna use the latest value of the 2. So in this case it will be 1 and 5. Yeah. And if the left has emitted but the right hasn't, so it's still going to use the latest values of both, so we get 2 and 5. And then it's, in this case, you get 6 and 2. And also, in this case, you get 3 and 6. Right? Yeah, I personally, I haven't used this in any of my projects yet, but I think, it's just nice to know it, that it has it, Like, all right. All right, so it's like, now if you want, the last thing is, like, how do you create your own observables, right? So if we have you can just declare it with like, this is going to be an observable string, and you can say like, and you use the observable.create function, and it takes in a callback as well, so you can get a observer in there. And what you're going to do is you're going to call your own async function, and once that means when this happens, when this function returns, you're going to call you're going to emit the next event on the observer, right? That's pretty much. So if you subscribe to this observable, it's going to emit this result from this function, So yeah. Okay. So you can not only use the next events, but remember we have 3 events. You can also use the completed events or the error event. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think this should be it for the RxJS now. So now where was I? So all right. I think. Do you guys want to take a break, like for a second or so, or for a few minutes or something like that? Good question. So it's like I just spent the past half hour talking about RxJS, So now what I wanted to do is to remember to make the schedule pop up, which I haven't done anything yet. So yeah. I mean, so what I mean is, kind of keep going, or do you guys want to take a break? Well, if you guys don't see anything, then I'm going to keep going then. Well. Okay. All right. Cool. All right, so I think no windows, right? So what's gonna happen is I'm going to make a request to Sam's API here, just to say to see if I can to get this data, and I want to map this data into data that our calendar library accepts, and we can use that to show the schedule, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So I think I'm going to go back to my API service here, and I'm going to make another call. So make another function just to say like get interesting, right? My bad. All right, so I can just start by saying by adding the endpoint I'm going to make the request to. So in this case, it's just going to be I believe it's get report data. So okay. Cool. Cool. So I can just make a request to the HTTP client. So HTTP client is something that comes with the with Angular, just to help you make a request to the API and stuff like that. So it's kind of similar to like jQuery's $get.JSON function or jQuery's Ajax function, but it's just like embedded in its own class. So I can say I want to make a GET request or something, so wow, that's too much, so, but the thing is, you have to know like how to parse the data when the request has go back to you. And so in this case, we kind of like want a class that's in this format, so we can so you can use it as a return type of get, right? So in this case, I'm just going to make another class. 1 second, so I'm going to make a TypeScript file. I'm going to call it all right, so you can just say class all right, so like, why are all of you guys so quiet right now? That's weird. All right. Okay. All right, so it's like we're going to follow this format, pretty much. So it's like so all we need to do is just to make sure our this class actually maps up with the JSON payload we have here. So okay, so I'm going to say the first property we have is going to be success, which is just a boolean, right? And the next one is message, which is a string, and we have data, right? I guess I'm going to rename this to a report. No, I'm sorry. Okay, now I can have my bad. Now I can have a field called data, which is an array of report data. I would say. You see, so as soon as you see like something that's like a JSON field here, so you might want to make another class to represent this. So in this case, I just made a report data class that just represents this thing only, right? Okay. And it's going to be an array of this, so it's going to be an array of report data, as we can see, so so in report data, we're going to have the class property, which is string, and building and room, and professor. Okay, string, and all right, and we can also, so this is going to have an array of times. Okay, so I'm going to make another class called report data times, right? So so it's going to have day start end, day start, this is like start, which is a number, and so we just need to add this back into our data's field. So it's like which is an array of report data times. All right. So this should nicely represent this, or represent this JSON payload, Okay. So now I can specify the type of the return, which is going to be report. Remember, I need to mark this with export, so all right, so I can say endpoint. So I'm going to use my HTTP client and make a call to the endpoint, but okay, I guess I just want the type of this to be type of the return value to be report of it, So see, all the warnings goes away and we're good, All right. So I'm making a call HTTP request, and this is going to be a returning our observable, which we can subscribe to later, Exactly. Okay. Cool. Okay. And now I can go back to my main front end, I think, so okay. General report. Okay, I'm going to use the observable approach to make this, so I can go to my main frontend CSS and HTML, and we can. So another ways you can like access the value in the HTML is by using a hashtag. I don't know if you should have seen this before. So I'm just going to say general report button. Mark everything with a hashtag, and if you want to get access it, so actually inside the TypeScript, you just need to go on top and add a view child, right? Okay. All right. So this property is going to allow us to access this field, So I'm going to make a observable call to this again. So this style general yeah. As soon as we click on the button, we're going to make a request to our server. So I'm going to say the pipe. Like I say, pipe is used to chain operators. So you can say merge map again. So arrow list of service. So I never injected the service here, do I? Did I? Okay. So we have the API service, and so I'm just going to make a call to get report data, so and now I can subscribe to it. So we can just say report, and oh, I think I'm missing a column here. So okay, cool. All right, now if I click on the button, I should be able to print the report. I'm just gonna say just to make sure it works, I'm gonna log the report. Okay. All right. Now if I load this, if I open the debugger again, console, and Nah, seems like this is being blocked, which is weird. Wow, this is crazy. I don't know. Well, I wasn't expecting this, so I don't know. Anyways. Alright, I'll have to fix this later, but I guess right now I'm just going to continue. So, okay. So now I'm going to go back into the full calendar library I used before. So it's like so I think I added something in app.module.ts and component. Yeah, this is what I need. So so I'm going to import it here, time grid plugin, and so I'm going to say so we're going to have a TypeScript file here. So so I'm just going to say my calendar plugins. Alright, just let me double check 1 second though, so I'm going to. Alright, so I'm gonna make sure I did this right. Yeah, okay. Alright, so alright, since I can't actually get the HTTP request working, and I'm going to use some dummy data for now, I guess, so well, nothing I can do here. So I'm going to say I'm also going to add a events property. So this is going to be any type, so I'm going to say this dot events equals to equals this, so okay. Alright, so it's just like a basic JavaScript array with some events. Some events we can have the days of the week, which is just going to be Tuesday and Fridays, and 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock and stuff like that. Yeah, for the start time and end time. And I think I can just go back to my schedule pop-up component.css. So alright, 1 sec. Alright, so this is the main code we're going to use just to load up the full calendar, so we can set the view to the weekly view, and we can also use the plugin we have, show no weekends, the events we're going to use is going to be the variable here, pretty much, and you can set the minimum time and also the maximum time, and also setting the height to auto, that should be showing up the so if that's doing the right way, now we should be able to see some schedule showing up, so so I'm going to comment this out first. So So I'm just going to say I'm going to make a call to this. I'm just going to wait for the call, but once that's done, I'm going to open this component, I think. Yeah. And there's some other setup stuff I need to do, which is sections component. I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to have this instead. Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is going to be a schedule pop-up component. You know. Probably something else. 1 second. Cool. I think that should be it. I should be able to open the component, and I'm going to go back to my TypeScript file here, and once we have once the click event has finished, we can just say I think so open model. I think so. This time I'm going to open a schedule pop-up component, you know, and the size is going to be dialog size of large, you know. So probably don't need this for now. All right, let's see if this works. It should, you know. All right. Like this. Well, and just no idea where the event went, you know, which is crazy, you know. And we don't have a close button, which is a little problematic, you know. Oh, that kind of works. Yeah. And our schedule is actually now showing up here, which is interesting, you know. I think this needs to be like an array or something like that. No, okay. Now here we go. All right. All right, this is a general idea, but I'm sorry to I'm having some problem with my server. Yeah, I think it's being blocked by the browser, which is a little weird. But yeah, this is a general idea. Yeah, obviously we need to add like some like buttons you can quit, you know, but stuff like that, you know. Yeah, but I think that's about it, you know. Unless you guys want to spend some time and see me like try to fix the server and all, you know, which is weird, you know. Yeah. All right. All right. So, do you guys have questions or, you know? All right. And how do you feel? Do you feel like a little? I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Yes. For the combined lattice though, no, it doesn't. You know, you can have like any kind of observables being combined. I think, you know. Oh. The test time block. Maybe you wanna just use a different color, stuff like that. You know. Use like a different color instead of like using blue. Try to use a green color or red color or something like that. Just color code it. You know, something. All right. All right. Okay, we'll definitely think about this later, but I guess like since we're meeting, it's like, do we want to talk about like what do we want to do with the project next? Yeah. I would say. Yeah. Yeah, definitely, But it has to be virtual though. Sure, definitely, but I think what I'm asking is like, like, what are some of the features we want to add, like right after this, since I have the schedule here. Mm-hmm. 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 Weekends, definitely, so I think that's something that's very, very easy to change though. So if I just change it just to a chill, I don't know what's gonna happen. All right, so all right, if I just say, well, now we have weekends. Okay, yeah. All right. Is there like anything else we want to talk about? Or are you guys doing vacation mode? Yeah, I guess you guys are. So I think we should like continue working on the project like starting next week or something like that. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just using your dummy data for now. What I'm thinking is we'll probably need to take what we have right now in the front end, like all the sections we have, the rooms and professor. We need to send it to your server, and your server has to do some processing and come up with a solution. Yeah. Mhm. Right, Sam? Yeah. Yes. So I said it's like probably we're gonna take what we have from the front end. I mean, we're actually talking about the backend server stuff. Like we're asking about your progress. So it's like what I'm saying is we're gonna take what we have in the front end. All this data here and combine them together and try to send it to your server, and your server is gonna do some processing and give us a report back, right? Mm, right. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Or you can just say, oh, you don't have to worry about that part. I think I can always deploy it on my own server, and so you don't have to worry about that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You know, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Do you want to just call it for the day? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. So I guess that'll be it. I'll see you guys probably later, like next week. Hopefully. Mm-hmm. All right, and stay safe, of course. Yep. See you later. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.